Hello, CCL Sports Cards fans. Welcome back. I am so pumped for this episode. Today, I'm starting a 4-part mini-series where I take an in-depth look at my favorite prospects to watch this season. Prospects whom I have the most amount of capital tied up in, or my biggest bet, said another way. These are players whose card prices I expect to go a lot higher as the minor league season progresses. Now, to be clear here, as you saw in the thumbnail, these are not sleepers and some of the best and youngest prospects in baseball, in my opinion anyhow. And yes, with regards to a couple of the players, their first Bowman autos and PSA 10 will set you back a few bucks. But I think that's really the key here. I love a good sleeper. And while anyone can become a superstar in Major League Baseball, regardless of their draft position, when a prospect costs more, it's because there is an increased likelihood that they will light it up in the show one day. But before we get into the episode, be sure to hit that like button if you enjoy the content. And subscribe so you know when a new episode drops. As well, doing me a favor helping to grow the platform. We are inching closer to my goal of 500 subscribers with just 5 weeks to go. And as we get closer with each passing day, I want to say thank you to all you faithful viewers. And a big welcome to those of you who are brand new to CCL Sports Cards. But, on to the reason you're all here. 4 prospects whom I love and whose values I imagine will rise substantially in 2022. Now, to be clear here, to be eligible for my list, the player could not have played at AAA in 2021. And the reason for this is quite simple. Most of the very top prospects in baseball, like Bobby Witt Jr. or J-Rod or Torque, who played in AAA last season, have debuted, and their autos and PSA 10 cost $3,000 or $2,300 or $2,000 respectively, at least when this episode was written. Probably more now. According to their latest card sales on Card Ladder, and while their cards could rise further, I tend to treat prospects like this with a missed that one attitude, and those ships have sailed approach. You can't possibly catch all the winners early, and like one of my favorite educators like to teach, don't chase, and just go look for something else. Not to mention that I can't in good conscience come out here and tell you to buy a base auto and PSA 10 at $2,000 plus when the hype is at maximum. They've debuted, and if they flop, that is a long way to fall and a lot of potentially lost dollars. So, let's start with my 4th favorite prospect to watch and follow in the 2022 minor league baseball campaign. That is Mr. Ed Howard of the Chicago Cubs. Currently, I have about $7,000 tied up in Howard. Not a massive amount by any means, but a very, very good wager. In the likes of 2 True Oranges, 1 in PSA 10 and another in BGS 9.5, and a purple BGS 9.5 True Gem for $350 I just picked up this past week. Special thanks to Burbank Sports Cards for the great deal on that last purchase. Howard is someone I continue to add first Bowman Chrome autos of because he seems to get cheaper and cheaper and has seen his stock fall quite a bit as collectors and investors have moved on to other newer potential superstar Cubbies, in the likes of Kevin Alcantara, Owen Casey, or Christian Hernandez. I mean, the list could go on. I mean, I understand it is instinctive to invest in newer players whose cards are priced high and seem to rise continually. But to be honest, while it's scary, you should really be buying cards as they fall and looking to lighten up slowly as the player's stock rises. Now, to be clear, if the player is 26, has not debuted, and his cards are cheap, there is a very, very good reason for this. This is very much not the case with Ed Howard, who just turned 20 in January. Howard slid to number 14 on the Chicago Cubs prospect list for 2022 on MLB.com, thanks to a largely lackluster 2021 campaign for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans in Low A. In 2021, he was ranked 7th, and his draft year of 2020, he was number 4. So yeah, he's sliding, and that is warranted. Now, if you watch this channel, especially the I Just Invested segments, you've heard me discuss why it's not all bad news when it comes to Howard's 21 campaign. He actually improved down the stretch after an altogether dreadful pro debut. He still struck out way too much, but again was just 19 last season. So perhaps, going forward, the Cubs coaching staff can teach this kid to take a pitch or two. I'll give him a pass on his last season. He's certainly had an okay start for high A South Bend Cubs, a level higher than last season, appearing in 3 games with 10 at-bats, hitting 200 with 2 RBIs, largely helped by his 2-for-3 game this past Sunday. But there is a lot more to like in a guy whose first Bowman Chrome cards continue to get cheaper. Just last fall, his base auto would run you close to $200 in raw condition. And I just grabbed that purple for $350, already graded True Gem by BGS. Howard has a great glove and a whopping 70 on his scouting report for fielding and a 60 arm. And while that is not going to make anyone blush when it comes to collecting his cards or investing in them, it does lead one to conclude that at the age of just 20, he has building blocks the Cubbies like and plus defensive skills that'll keep him developing and make it unlikely he won't be given the time to improve the offensive side of his game. Not to mention the fact that the Cubs have nearly $4 million invested in this kid, and I doubt they are ready to write that asset off. Howard also has projectable power in his 6'2" frame and has good bat speed, but again, he has to harness those assets and stop striking out so much. Howard is also a great story, which adds some potential intangible value down the road to his cards. Being a local Chicago high school kid taken by the Cubs and maybe playing for his hometown Cubbies one day. That sounds like a movie waiting to be written, if you ask me. It would appear many are taking a wait-and-see approach, as there are only 3 recorded eBay sales for Mr. Howard's first Bowman Chrome Autos in PSA 10 over the last 3 months, one of which was the orange I purchased at the end of January, which means people are holding or are asking way too much for his cards. Again, I am a buyer of Howard as he falls out of favor and people move on to the latest and greatest prospect. I cannot wait to see how the rest of his 2022 campaign goes, and I am betting it looks closer to his August and September of last year rather than the preceding 4 months last season. I am so pumped that minor league baseball is rolling, and if you haven't done so, make sure to get the MILB app. It is an incredible value at just $70 for the season. Stay tuned for my next episode where I will talk about prospect number 3, airing in just a couple days. Keep in mind that anything I say on this channel is strictly my opinion and should be taken as such. You all have an amazing couple of days.